Yo, what is up YouTube? We are back with another deck profile. In this video we have a really fun archetype, and that is going to be the Hisuian Zoroark vstar archetype. This deck is so much fun. We have so many awesome goodies and different tricks in this deck, so let's get right on into the profile. We're going to start off with our main attacker, and that is going to be 4 copies of Hisuian Zoroark vstar. The main attack and only attack on Zoroark is the attack Tickle and Curse. For 2 colorless energy, this does 50 damage times. This attack does 50 damage for each of your Pokemon that have any damage counters on them. So if you have your whole board with damage counters on them, at least 1 damage counter on each of your Pokemon, and you have a maximum of 6 Pokemon in play, that is going to do 300 damage. Now you are going to use double turbo energy to pay for the attack cost. So you're going to be doing 280, but then you attach a choice belt and you'll be doing 310 to Vs and V stars, and V max and V unions. It also has the V star power Phantom Star. It is an ability. The ability reads, once during your turn, you may discard your hand and draw 7 cards. The ability is basically a Professor's Research, which with this deck really helps out with consistency because you just got to draw an extra 7 cards. So you're really never missing what you need when you need it. Since we are playing 4 copies of Hisuian Zoroark vstar, we're also playing 4 copies of Hisuian Zoroark V. You're usually not attacking with Hisuian Zoroark V, but it does have a nice attack called Void Return. For 0 energy, it does 30 damage. You may switch this Pokemon with one of your bench Pokemon. So let's say it's your second turn going first, you have a Gengar on your bench. You can use Void Return to retreat into that Gengar, because if that Gengar gets knocked out, you can just get it right back with its ability. Now speaking of Gengar, we also play 4 copies of Gengar, the new holo rare from Lost Origin. It has the ability Netherworld Gate. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon is in your discard pile, you may put it onto your bench. If you do, put 3 damage counters on this Pokemon. This is very good because we want Pokemon on our bench with damage counters. Gengar puts itself from the discard onto the bench and puts damage counters on itself. So that helps us hit maximum damage with Zoroark vstar's main attack. As well as playing 4 Gengar, you just want them in the discard, so they're very good Trekking Shoes fodder, Ultra Ball fodder, as well as Professor's Research fodder. Especially with a lot of decks playing Avery, they will most likely Avery us, so we'll just send the Gengars into the discard, and then we'll just get them right back on our turn with the ability. We are also playing 2 copies of Crobat because we just like to thin our hand, bench the Crobat and draw cards simply for extra consistency. You could decide to put in a Lumineon. I think a Lumineon is fine, but me personally, I like the double Crobat just because we can use a Crobat in the beginning stages and in the late stages. And then the final Pokemon we are playing is 1 copy of Radiant Hawlucha. We play it for the ability Big Match. As long as this Pokemon is on your bench, your Pokemon's attacks do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon VMAX. This allows us to do a maximum of 340 damage to an opponent's Pokemon VMAX. That knocks out, I think, all of them. Maybe not a Kyurem or Eternatus VMAX with a Big Charm. So starting off our trainer section, we are playing 4 copies of Gapejaw Bog. This is a stadium card from Astral Radiance. Whenever a player puts a basic Pokemon from their hand onto their bench, put 2 damage counters on that Pokemon. So basically we want to play this as soon as possible, so when we bench our Hisuian Zoroark Vs, Crobat Vs, as well as Radiant Hawlucha, they can put damage counters on them, so we can do more damage with Hisuian Zoroark vstar's attack, Taking Curse. Then for supporters, we are playing a very basic, standard, kind of boring supporter line. We are playing 4 Professor's Research, discard your hand, draw 7. Very basic. We are also playing 4 copies of Marnie. Each player shuffles their hand, puts it at the bottom of their deck. The player that played this card draws 5, and your opponent draws 4. We are then playing the also standard 3 copies of Boss's Orders. Switch your opponent's bench Pokemon with their actives. Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon with their actives. Very standard 4 Research, 4 Marnie, 4 Boss. And we also have 1 more supporter card, which you don't see a too lot, and that is going to be 1 copy of Silene. Silene reads, flip 2 coins, put a number of cards up to the number of heads from your discard pile into your deck in any order. Basically, we are playing this because we only play 4 energies, and that is going to be a full 4 playset of double turbo energy. So if we have to research and then use Hisuian Zoroark vstar's ability, Phantom Star, and we have to discard too many of our double turbo energies, we want to be able to play the Silene to potentially get those back so we can start attacking. So starting off our item cards, you're playing 4 copies of Damage Pump. Move up to 2 damage counters from one of your Pokemon to your other Pokemon in any way you like. So let's say we use Gengar's ability to put it from the discard pile onto our bench. We put 3 damage counters on that Gengar. We can then use Damage Pump to move 2 of those to 2 other Pokemon. So it'll be 1 damage counter on 2 Pokemon. And that really helps us hit the damage requirement on Hisuian Zoroark vstar's Taking Curse attack to do maximum damage. We're also playing 4 copies of Trekking Shoes, a very good consistency card. Look at the top card of your deck. You may put that card into your hand. If you don't, discard that card and draw a card. Very good consistency card, as we can just dig through the deck really fast, as well as if we see that Gengar as the card we see first, we can always just discard that, draw an extra card, and then put that Gengar from our discard pile straight onto our bench. Now obviously we want to discard Gengars from our hand as well as find our Pokemon when we need them. So we're also playing 4 copies of Ultra Ball. You have to discard 2 cards from your hand in order to use Ultra Ball. You get to search your deck for any Pokemon. Thins our hand so we can use Dark Asset on Crobat V, as well as just find us our Pokemon and gets cards into the discard. Now since we want to do lots of damage, and sometimes we are missing a damage on one of our Pokemon or missing a bench Pokemon in general, we need another way to do more damage. So we are playing 4 copies of Choice Belt. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 30 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon V. That includes VMAX, V-Star, and V-Union. Simply, we like this because we can do more damage consistently. We play a full 4 simply because we're going to be drawing and discarding so many cards that we're going to discard 1, 2 throughout the game just naturally. So we want to just attach them as soon as possible to our Hisuian Zoroark Vs, as well as see them as soon as possible. Another way to discard cards as well as find our Pokemon is we are playing 4 copies of Quick Ball. You can only play this card if you discard a card from your hand, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, reveal it, put it into your hand, and shuffle your deck. Very basic card. We are also choosing to play 3 copies of Switch, simply because there wasn't really another card I wanted to put in, as well as we don't really have energy to burn for retreat cost. So we needed a way to get some of our awkward Pokemon, being Radiant Hawlucha as well as Crobat V, out of the active without burning energy. So I thought, why not just put Switch? If we don't need the Switch, we can always just burn it or throw it away. Since we're also going to be discarding a lot of Pokemon from our hand, sometimes we need to get those Pokemon back. So we are playing 2 copies of Ordinary Rod. Choose one or both. Shuffle up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Shuffle up to 2 basic energy cards from your discard pile into your deck. You're not playing any basic energy, so it's just basically shuffle up to 2 Pokemon from your discard pile into your deck. Very good because we're always discarding cards. And then finally, the last 4 cards we play is 4 energies, and that is going to be a full 4 play set of Double Turbo Energy. As long as this card is attached to a Pokemon, it provides 2 colorless energies, which Hisuian Zoroark vstar's attack, Taking Curse, is 2 colorless energies. The attacks of the Pokemon this card is attached to do 20 less damage to your opponent's Pokemon. So basically we attach Double Turbo, we attach Choice Belt, and we technically just do a positive 10 damage on top of whatever we are doing with Taking Curse, as well as Radiant Hawlucha's ability. So what do you guys think of this list? Do you like it? Do you not? Do you think it's overrated, underrated, or properly rated? Let me know in the comment section below. What do you think of the deck? As well as if you want to buy these cards or any other cards, you can always check out the homies over at Deck Out Gaming. You can also use my promo code YBMCards for 5% off at checkout. That's 5% off the entire store. It saves you a bit of money, as well as it helps out the channel over here. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.